Maya Chen sat in the corner of the cafeteria, picking at her sandwich without really eating it. Around her, the noise of Riverside High's lunch period crashed like waves. Laughter, shouting, the scrape of chairs, the clatter of trays. But none of it included her. She'd been at this school for 6 weeks now, and she still felt like a ghost walking through the hallways. It hadn't always been this way. At her old school across town, Maya had friends. Not many, but enough. People who appreciated her quiet sense of humor, who didn't mind that she preferred listening to talking. But then her dad got a new job, and suddenly the family had to move to a different part of the city. New house, new neighborhood, new school. Starting over in the middle of the semester, when everyone already had their friend groups locked in tight. The bell rang, and Maya gathered her things quickly. She'd learned to time her movements carefully. Leave too early and you look desperate, leave too late and you get stuck in the crowd. She slipped out of the cafeteria and made her way down the familiar path to the one place in this entire school where she felt like herself. The music room sat at the end of the arts hallway, a little separated from the main building. Most students forgot it even existed unless they were in band or choir, but Maya had discovered it during her first week, and it had become her refuge. During free period, when other kids hung out in the quad or the library, Maya would slip into the empty music room and sit at the old upright piano in the corner. She pushed open the door and felt her shoulders relax immediately. The room smelled like wood polish and old sheet music. Afternoon sunlight came through the high windows, making dust particles dance in the air. Maya set her backpack down and went straight to the piano, her fingers finding the keys like coming home. She didn't play from sheet music. Instead, she let her fingers wander, finding melodies that matched whatever she was feeling that day. Today, the notes came out slow and searching, like questions without answers. Maya closed her eyes and let the music flow, not thinking about lonely lunch periods or awkward silences in class. Just the piano, just the sound, just this moment. She didn't hear the door open, didn't notice she had an audience until a voice cut through the music. Well, what do we have here? Maya's hands froze on the keys. She turned to find 3 girls standing in the doorway. The one in front was Brittany Morrison, and everyone at Riverside High knew exactly who Brittany was. Long blonde hair, the kind of confidence that made people step aside in hallways, and a smile that could turn sharp in an instant. I didn't know anyone else was here, Maya said quietly, starting to gather her things. Relax, Brittany said, walking further into the room. Her friends followed like satellites orbiting a planet. You're pretty good. I mean, for someone just messing around. Maya nodded, not sure if that was a compliment or not. Thanks, I was just leaving anyway. You're the new girl, right? Maya. Brittany leaned against a desk, studying her with interest. I've seen you around. Always by yourself. Heat crept up Maya's neck. Being invisible was one thing. Having your invisibility pointed out was something else entirely. I'm just still getting used to things, Maya said. Brittany's eyes sparkled with something Maya couldn't quite read. You know, the choir is looking for an accompanist. You should audition. We practice Thursdays after school. One of Brittany's friends, a red-haired girl whose name Maya didn't know, nodded enthusiastically. Totally. We desperately need someone who can actually play. Maya felt a small flutter of hope in her chest, dangerous and unexpected. Really? I mean, I don't know if I'm good enough for that. Please, Brittany said, waving her hand dismissively. You're way better than the last person we had. Come to practice this Thursday. Seriously. They left before Maya could respond, their voices and laughter fading down the hallway. Maya sat at the piano for a long time after they'd gone, trying to figure out what had just happened. Brittany Morrison had noticed her, had complimented her playing, had invited her to join something. Maybe, Maya thought. Things were finally starting to turn around. Thursday came, and Maya showed up to choir practice with sheet music tucked under her arm and butterflies doing loops in her stomach. The chorus room was bigger than the practice room, with risers set up for the singers and a proper grand piano at the front. Brittany stood at the center of the risers, clearly in her element. When she sang, her voice filled every corner of the room with the kind of easy power that Maya envied. She had the lead solo in the upcoming spring concert, and it was obvious why. The girl could sing. Maya, Brittany called out when she spotted her. You made it. Come on up, let's see what you can do. The audition went smoothly. Maya sight-read the music they handed her, her fingers finding the right notes even when the tempo changed unexpectedly. The choir director, a tired-looking woman named Mrs. Patterson, seemed genuinely relieved to have someone competent at the piano. "You're hired," Mrs. Patterson said when they finished the first piece. "Can you commit to practices twice a week?" Maya nodded, trying not to smile too widely. "Yes, absolutely." Over the next few weeks, something shifted. Maya had a reason to be at school beyond just showing up to classes. She had practices to attend, music to prepare, a role to fill. Brittany and her friends would wave to her in the hallway sometimes or save her a seat during assemblies. It wasn't exactly friendship, not yet, but it was something. It was more than the nothing she'd had before. But Maya started noticing other things too. The way Brittany's smile would cool when anyone else got attention. How her compliments often had an edge to them, a little barb hidden in the sweetness. The whispered conversations that would stop when Maya got close enough to hear. One day, Maya arrived early to practice and overheard Brittany talking to her friends in the hallway outside the chorus room. "I mean, she's useful," Brittany was saying, "and it's kind of sad, right? How grateful she is for any attention. It's almost too easy." The words hit Maya like cold water. She stood frozen in the hallway, her hand on the door handle, not sure if she should walk in or run away. Before she could decide, Brittany pushed through the door and nearly ran into her. "Maya, there you are!" Brittany's voice was bright and warm, as if the conversation Maya had just overheard had never happened. "We need to talk to you about something exciting." Maya followed her inside, her stomach twisting into knots. She'd heard what Brittany said. She'd heard the tone, the casual cruelty, but a desperate part of her wanted to believe she'd misunderstood. Wanted to believe that the friendship, or whatever this was, might still be real. She sat down at the piano and arranged her sheet music with shaking hands. Around her, the other choir members filed in, talking and laughing. Normal people having a normal day. And Maya, once again, feeling like she was on the outside looking in, even when she was right in the middle of the room. The announcement came during morning assembly 2 weeks later. Principal Rodriguez stood at the podium, his voice echoing through the packed auditorium as he talked about school spirit and student involvement. Maya sat near the back, half listening until she heard the words that made her stomach drop. "And as always, we'll be hosting our annual spring talent show in 6 weeks. Sign-up sheets are posted outside the main office. This is your chance to shine, Riverside." The auditorium buzzed with excitement. Students turned to their friends, already planning acts and forming groups. Maya slumped lower in her seat, grateful that nobody expected anything from her. Performing in front of the entire school was literally her worst nightmare. After assembly, Maya headed to her locker to grab her chemistry textbook. She was spinning the combination lock when Brittany appeared beside her, seemingly out of nowhere. "Maya, perfect timing. We need to talk to you about something." Maya turned to find Brittany flanked by her 2 closest friends, Chelsea and Vanessa. They all wore matching smiles that didn't quite reach their eyes. "What's up?" Maya asked, shoving her textbook into her backpack. "The talent show," Brittany said, leaning against the locker next to Maya's. "You should totally sign up. I mean, you're amazing at piano, and I bet you can sing too, right?" Maya shook her head quickly. "Oh no, I don't really perform in front of people like that. I just play for myself, but that's such a waste." Vanessa chimed in. "Seriously, Maya, you're so talented. Why hide it?" "Yeah," Chelsea added. And honestly, the talent show could use some real musicians this year. Last year it was all TikTok dances and off-key singing. Brittany put her hand on Maya's arm, her voice dropping to something that sounded almost sincere. "Look, I know you're still new here, but this could be your way of, I don't know, showing people who you really are. Making your mark. People respect performers, you know." Maya felt that dangerous flutter of hope again. The same one she'd felt when Brittany first invited her to choir practice. The part of her that wanted so badly to belong, to matter, to be seen. "I don't know," she said slowly. "I've never done anything like that before." "Which is exactly why you should do it," Brittany pressed. "Come on, what's the worst that could happen? You play a song, people clap, and suddenly you're not just the quiet new girl anymore. You're Maya Chen, the girl with actual talent." Over the next few days, Brittany and her friends kept up the pressure. They'd find Maya between classes, in the cafeteria, after choir practice, always with the same message, delivered with smiles and encouragement. "You should do it. You're so talented. Everyone would love it. Don't you want people to finally notice you?" And slowly, against her better judgment, Maya started to consider it. She'd been working on an original song for months now, something she'd written during all those lonely lunch periods and quiet evenings at home. It was personal, maybe too personal, but it was also the most honest thing she'd ever created. The lyrics talked about feeling invisible, about being the outsider, about searching for a place where you fit. Maybe, she thought, sharing that song could help other people who felt the same way. Maybe it could be her way of connecting with her classmates, of finally breaking through the wall of invisibility that surrounded her. 1 week after the announcement, Maya found herself standing in line outside the main office, the sign-up sheet in front of her. Her hand shook as she wrote her name on the paper, committing herself to something that terrified her. But Brittany's words echoed in her head. This could be your way of showing people who you really are. What Maya didn't know was that 3 doors down, in an empty classroom, Brittany sat with Chelsea and Vanessa, scrolling through her phone with a satisfied smirk on her face. She actually signed up, Brittany said, showing them the picture she'd just snapped of the sign-up sheet. I honestly didn't think she'd go through with it. Chelsea laughed. You're so evil. I almost feel bad for her. Please, Brittany said, rolling her eyes. She's so desperate for friends that she'll believe anything. This is going to be hilarious. Vanessa looked slightly uncomfortable. So what's the actual plan? We're just going to laugh at her during her performance. Not just laugh, Brittany said, her eyes gleaming. We're going to make it go viral. I'm talking full social media assault. We'll record it, post it everywhere. Make sure everyone in this school and beyond sees Maya Chen's spectacular failure. By the time we're done, she'll probably transfer schools again. But what if she's actually good? Vanessa asked. Brittany's expression hardened. She won't be. Not when she's shaking like a leaf up there on that stage, realizing that everyone's laughing at her instead of with her. Trust me, I know how this works. Chelsea was already creating fake accounts on her phone. I'll start hyping up her performance. Make it seem like she's going to be the star of the show. Build it up real big so the fall is even harder. Over the next few weeks, the plan rolled forward like a machine. Brittany and her friends showered Maya with attention and false praise. They'd stop her in hallways to ask about her song, to tell her how excited everyone was to see her perform. Chelsea created anonymous accounts that left encouraging comments on Maya's barely used social media, building anticipation for her talent show debut. Maya spent every spare moment practicing. She'd stay after school in the music room, working through her song over and over until her fingers knew every chord change by heart. She rewrote lyrics, adjusted melodies, trying to make everything perfect. At home, she'd practice in her bedroom, her keyboard plugged into headphones so she wouldn't disturb her parents. Her mom noticed the change in her. Maya seemed lighter somehow, more excited about school. She talked about the talent show at dinner, about how Brittany and her friends thought she could really do well. Her parents exchanged hopeful glances, relieved to see their daughter finally making connections at her new school. 3 days before the talent show, Maya decided to stay late after choir practice to run through her song one more time. She thought she was alone in the building, that everyone had gone home. But as she finished her final run-through and started packing up her music, she heard voices in the hallway outside the chorus room. Maya recognized Brittany's laugh immediately. She was about to call out to say goodbye before leaving, when she heard her own name. I still can't believe Maya actually thinks we're her friends, Brittany was saying. Her voice dripping with amusement. Maya froze, her hand on her backpack zipper. The way she looks at you is honestly pathetic, Chelsea said, like you're doing her this huge favor by talking to her. I know, right? Brittany replied. But that's what makes this so perfect. She's going to get up on that stage thinking everyone's on her side and then boom. Reality check. We're going to destroy her. Vanessa's voice was quieter, uncertain. I don't know, Britt, this seems kind of harsh. She's actually really nice. She's competition, Brittany snapped. Did you see how Mrs. Patterson looks at her? Like she's some kind of musical genius, please. This school already has a star, and it's not some nobody transfer student who plays sad piano songs. Maya's vision blurred. She pressed her back against the wall, trying to make herself smaller, invisible again. Her heart hammered so hard she thought it might break through her ribs. The voices moved further away, fading down the hallway. Maya waited until she couldn't hear them anymore before she moved. She gathered her things in a daze, her hands moving automatically while her mind raced. It had all been fake. Every compliment, every smile, every moment she'd thought maybe she was finally making friends. It was all part of some cruel joke, and she'd fallen for it completely. Maya left the school building and walked to the bus stop in the gathering dark. She sat on the bench, her backpack heavy on her lap, and felt tears sliding down her cheeks. Around her, the city moved on like nothing had happened. Cars passed by, people walked their dogs, the world kept spinning. But for Maya, everything had stopped. In 3 days, she was supposed to stand on a stage in front of the entire school and pour her heart out in a song about loneliness and searching for belonging. And now she knew that the people she'd trusted would be in the audience waiting to tear her apart. Maya didn't go to school the next day. She told her mom she had a headache, which wasn't exactly a lie. Her head did hurt along with everything else. She spent the day in bed staring at the ceiling, replaying that conversation in the hallway over and over in her mind. The worst part wasn't even the cruelty of the plan. It was how completely she'd fallen for it. How desperate she'd been for connection that she'd ignored every warning sign, every uncomfortable feeling, every moment when Brittany's kindness had felt just slightly off. Maya had been so hungry for friendship that she'd swallowed the bait whole. Her phone buzzed with messages throughout the day. Brittany asking if she was okay. Chelsea sending encouragement about the talent show. Even Vanessa checking in. Maya didn't respond to any of them. Just reading their fake concern made her stomach turn. By evening, her mom had had enough of the headache excuse. She came into Maya's room and sat on the edge of the bed, her hand resting gently on Maya's shoulder. "Want to tell me what's really going on?" her mom asked softly. Maya tried to hold it in. She really did. But something about her mom's voice, the gentleness of it, broke something open inside her. The whole story came pouring out between sobs. The loneliness at the new school, Brittany's friendship that had seemed like a lifeline, the talent show, the plan she'd overheard, all of it. Her mom listened without interrupting, just holding Maya's hand and letting her talk. When Maya finally finished, exhausted and empty, her mom was quiet for a long moment. "I'm so sorry, sweetheart," she finally said. "I know how much that hurts. I really do. I can't go back there," Maya said, her voice small. "I can't face them. And I definitely can't do the talent show now. I'll just withdraw. Maybe I can do online school or something." Her mom nodded slowly, thinking, "You can do that if you need to. If this school is too much, we'll figure something else out. Your dad and I will support whatever you decide." Maya felt a wave of relief. She could leave. She could escape this whole nightmare. "But," her mom continued, "before you make that decision, I want to tell you something. Can I do that?" Maya nodded, wiping her eyes with her sleeve. "When I was 16, there was a girl at my school named Patricia. She was a lot like your Brittany. Popular, confident, kind of mean. I was in the drama club and I'd gotten the lead role in the spring play. Patricia had auditioned too, but she didn't get the part." Maya's mom stared out the window, lost in the memory. "She started a rumor that I'd slept with the drama teacher to get the role. It spread through the whole school in a day. People believed it. Even some of my friends started looking at me differently." "What did you do?" Maya asked. "I quit the play," her mom said quietly. "I was so humiliated and angry that I just walked away. Let someone else have the part. I told myself I was taking the high road, that I was being mature by not making a scene." "That seems smart though," Maya said. "You avoided the whole mess." Her mom turned to look at her and Maya saw something sad in her eyes. "Maybe, but you know what? I've regretted it my whole life. Not because the play mattered that much, but because I let someone else's cruelty take something away from me. I let Patricia make me feel like I didn't deserve to be on that stage. And that became a pattern. For years after that, whenever things got hard or uncomfortable, I'd just quit. It took me a long time to realize I'd given away my power that day." Maya felt tears starting again. "But Mom, if I do the talent show now, they're going to laugh at me. They're going to record it and put it online. Everyone will see it. Maybe," her mom said. "Or maybe something else happens. But here's what I know for sure. If you don't do it, you'll always wonder. You'll always carry this feeling that they won, that they got to decide what you're capable of." "I'm scared," Maya whispered. "I know, baby. I know." Her mom pulled her into a hug. "But you have something Brittany doesn't have. You have a real gift and real emotion behind it. She saw that in you and it scared her. That's why she's trying to tear you down. People who are secure in themselves don't need to hurt others." They sat together for a while longer, not talking, just being. Finally, Maya's mom kissed her forehead and stood to leave. "Whatever you decide, I'm proud of you," she said at the door. But if you do decide to perform, I want you to do it for yourself. Not to prove anything to Brittany or anyone else. Just for you." After her mom left, Maya lay in the dark thinking. Part of her still wanted to run, to hide, to never set foot in Riverside High again. But another part, a part she hadn't known existed until right now, felt something different. Something that wasn't quite courage yet, but maybe the beginning of it. She thought about her song, the one she'd written during all those lonely lunches, the lyrics about feeling invisible, about searching for belonging, about the pain of being on the outside. Those words had come from somewhere real inside her. They mattered even if no one else ever heard them. And suddenly Maya realized something. Brittany's plan would work perfectly if Maya performed the song Brittany expected. If Maya got on that stage nervous and scared, playing the vulnerable piece about wanting to fit in, they could destroy her easily. But what if she didn't give them what they expected? Maya sat up and turned on her bedside lamp. She grabbed her notebook, the one where she wrote lyrics and musical ideas. She flipped past the song she'd been planning to perform and started writing something new. The words came fast, almost faster than she could write them down. Not about wanting to belong anymore, about something else, about seeing through fake kindness, about recognizing your own worth even when others try to make you feel worthless, about refusing to be small just because someone else wants you to be. She worked through the night, barely aware of time passing. The melody came together in her head, stronger and more defiant than anything she'd written before. By the time light started creeping through her window, she had it. A completely different song. Not a plea for acceptance, but a declaration of self-worth. Maya was exhausted but awake in a way she hadn't been in weeks. Maybe months. She picked up her phone and looked at all the unread messages from Brittany and her friends. For a moment, she considered responding, telling them she knew about their plan, but that would just give them time to adjust, to come up with something else. Instead, she opened a new message to Mrs. Patterson, the choir director. "Hi, Mrs. Patterson. I'm still planning to perform at the talent show, but I've changed my song. Is that okay?" "Maya." The response came back quickly. "Of course, Maya. Looking forward to it." Maya took a deep breath and sent another message, this time to the talent show coordinator, confirming she'd be there. Her hands were shaking as she put the phone down. She had 2 days to perfect the new song, to build up whatever strength she'd need to get on that stage knowing what was waiting for her in the audience. But something had shifted inside her. The fear was still there, sitting heavy in her chest. But it wasn't alone anymore. There was anger too, the good kind that makes you stand up straight instead of shrinking down. And underneath both of those feelings was something quieter but stronger, a small steady voice that said she deserved to take up space, that her music mattered, that Brittany didn't get to decide her story. Maya went back to school the next day. She walked through the hallways with her head down like always, but inside everything was different. Brittany waved to her in the cafeteria, all fake smiles and enthusiasm. "Maya, we missed you yesterday. Are you feeling better? Ready for tomorrow night?" Maya managed a small smile. "Yeah, I'm ready." She wasn't, not really. She was terrified. But she was going to do it anyway, and that had to count for something. The day of the talent show arrived faster than Maya wanted. She woke up with her stomach in knots, the kind of nervous energy that made it impossible to eat breakfast. Her mom made her toast anyway, sitting with her at the kitchen table in comfortable silence. "You don't have to do this," her mom reminded her gently. "Even now, you can still change your mind." Maya shook her head. "No, I need to do this. For me." Her dad drove her to school that morning, which he usually didn't do. Before she got out of the car, he squeezed her shoulder. "Whatever happens tonight, we're proud of you," he said. "You're braver than you think." The school day crawled by in a strange blur. Maya went through the motions of attending classes, taking notes, pretending everything was normal. But her mind was elsewhere, running through chord progressions and lyrics, imagining the moment she'd step onto that stage. At lunch, Brittany and her friends descended on Maya's table with their phones out. "Okay. We need a pre-show photo," Chelsea announced, already positioning herself next to Maya. "This is going to be such an amazing night." Maya forced herself to smile for the camera, watching as Chelsea immediately started typing a caption. She could guess what it would say. Something encouraging and supportive, building up the anticipation. "Setting up the fall, are you nervous?" Vanessa asked, and for a second, Maya thought she heard something genuine in her voice. Like maybe Vanessa actually felt a little guilty about what they were planning. Yeah, Maya admitted. Pretty nervous. Don't be, Brittany said, her smile bright and empty. You're going to be amazing. Everyone's so excited to see you perform. It's all anyone's been talking about. That part, at least, was probably true. Maya had noticed the whispers in hallways, the curious looks from classmates who'd never paid attention to her before. Chelsea's fake social media accounts had done their job well. Everyone expected something from the quiet new girl, though they probably didn't know what. The afternoon classes were torture. Maya's last period was English, and she spent the entire hour staring at the clock, watching the minutes tick down. Her new song was memorized, practiced until her fingers could play it in her sleep, but sitting there in the classroom, doubt crept in like cold water. What if she was making a huge mistake? What if her mom was wrong and the brave thing was actually to walk away? What if she got up on that stage and froze completely, giving Brittany exactly what she wanted? The bell rang and students flooded out of classrooms chattering about the talent show. Maya moved through the crowd like a sleepwalker, heading toward the auditorium. Performers were supposed to check in an hour before the show started, to review the stage setup and the order of performances. The auditorium was buzzing with activity. Stage crew kids adjusted lighting and tested microphones. Dancers stretched in the aisles. A guy with a guitar sat in the front row, nervously tuning. Maya found the student coordinator and signed in, her hand shaking so badly she could barely write her name. You're fifth in the lineup, the coordinator told her, checking his clipboard. Piano's already set up center stage. You'll have about 2 minutes after the previous act to get settled. Maya nodded, not trusting her voice. She found a seat in the back corner of the auditorium and tried to breathe. In and out. Just breathe. The doors opened at 6 and people started pouring in. Maya watched from backstage as the auditorium filled up. Students, teachers, parents, everyone finding seats. The energy in the room was electric, that particular excitement that comes before a show. She spotted her parents settling into seats near the middle. Her mom looked around the auditorium with concern, probably searching for Maya. Her dad held her mom's hand. Seeing them there made Maya's throat tight with emotion. Then she saw Brittany and her friends. They sat 3 rows from the front, right in the center, the perfect spot to be seen and heard. Brittany had her phone out already, and Maya could see Chelsea and Vanessa checking theirs too. Getting ready, preparing to capture the moment they'd been planning for weeks. The lights dimmed. Principal Rodriguez walked onto the stage to scattered applause and welcome everyone to the spring talent show. He made a few jokes that got polite laughs, reminded everyone to be respectful, and introduced the first act. Maya watched from the wings as performers went up one by one. A group of freshmen doing a TikTok dance routine that was actually pretty impressive. A junior who sang a pop song with surprising skill. A comedy sketch that got big laughs. Each act brought more applause, the audience warming up, getting into the spirit of the show. Then it was the fourth act, a violin solo. The girl played beautifully, some classical piece Maya didn't recognize. The audience was completely silent, absorbed in the music. When it ended, the applause was thunderous. Maya's heart hammered. She was next. The coordinator touched her shoulder. You're up. Good luck. Maya stood on legs that felt like water. She walked to the side stage entrance, the same route she'd walked during rehearsal yesterday. But everything felt different now. More real, more terrifying. The violinist took her bow and exited stage left, passing Maya with a quick smile. The stage manager checked his headset and gave Maya a nod. Whenever you're ready, he whispered. Maya stepped onto the stage. The lights were bright, hot on her face. Beyond them, she could make out the dark mass of the audience. Hundreds of faces turned toward her. The piano sat center stage, lit by a spotlight. It looked both familiar and completely foreign. She walked to the piano, her footsteps echoing in the sudden silence. As she passed the microphone stand, she heard it. A giggle from the audience. Then another. She didn't need to look to know where it was coming from. Maya sat at the piano bench and adjusted her position, buying herself a few seconds. Her hands hovered over the keys. In the audience, she could sense the anticipation. Everyone waiting to see what the quiet new girl would do. She found her parents in the crowd. Her mom's face was tight with worry, but when their eyes met, her mom nodded. Just a small movement. You can do this. Maya thought about the old song, the one about wanting to belong, about being invisible. The song Brittany expected. The song that would make it so easy for them to laugh, to mock, to destroy. Then she thought about the new song, The one she'd written in anger and pain and something that felt almost like power. The one that said everything she'd been too afraid to say out loud. She took a breath, put her fingers on the keys, and started to play. The first chord rang out strong and clear, nothing tentative or apologetic about it. Not the gentle, vulnerable opening Brittany would have expected. This was different, bolder. The melody was fierce, almost defiant. From her position at the piano, Maya couldn't see Brittany's face. But she imagined the confusion there. This wasn't the plan. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. Maya closed her eyes and sang. Her voice started quiet but grew stronger with each line. The lyrics poured out, words about fake smiles and false friends, about seeing through the performance, about refusing to shrink just because someone else wanted you invisible. The auditorium had gone completely silent. Not the restless silence of people waiting for something funny to happen. A different kind of silence. The kind where people are actually listening. Maya's fingers moved across the keys with a confidence she didn't know she had. The music built, the melody swelling, her voice rising to meet it. She sang about being underestimated, about the power in knowing your own worth, about standing up even when you're terrified. She sang about being enough. Exactly as she was, when she hit the bridge, her voice broke just slightly on a high note. For a second she faltered, her fingers stumbling on the piano. This was it. The moment Brittany was waiting for. The moment the laughter would start. But it didn't come. Instead, the silence deepened. Maya opened her eyes and kept going, pushing through the fear. She finished the bridge and moved into the final verse. The part she'd rewritten last. The part that was her truth, raw and honest and real. The last chord faded into silence. Maya's hand stayed on the keys, frozen. She couldn't breathe. Couldn't move. Couldn't process what had just happened. For one horrible moment, nothing happened. No applause. No laughter. Just silence. Then someone started clapping. Just one person. Somewhere in the middle of the auditorium. Maya couldn't see who it was through the stage lights, but the sound cut through the silence like a starting gun. Another person joined in. Then another. Then suddenly the entire auditorium erupted. People weren't just clapping. They were standing up. Row by row, the audience rose to their feet and the applause grew louder, filling every corner of the space. Maya sat frozen at the piano, unable to process what was happening. This wasn't part of any scenario she'd imagined. Not the laughter she'd feared, not the polite applause she'd hoped for. This was something else entirely. Through the crowd she spotted her mom. Tears were streaming down her face as she clapped, her hands raised high. Her dad stood beside her, beaming with pride. But it wasn't just them. All around the auditorium, students were on their feet. Some were wiping their eyes. Others were shouting encouragement. Maya finally stood up from the piano bench, her legs shaky. She managed a small bow, still stunned. As she turned to leave the stage, she caught a glimpse of Brittany's section. Chelsea and Vanessa were standing too, clapping along with everyone else, looking uncomfortable and confused. But Brittany sat frozen in her seat, her phone still in her hand, her face pale. Their eyes met for just a second, and Maya saw something there she'd never seen before. Not cruelty, not superiority, something closer to shock, maybe even fear. Maya walked off stage in a daze. The coordinator gave her an enthusiastic thumbs up, and the stage crew high-fived her as she passed. But she barely registered any of it. Her ears were ringing, her heart pounding so hard she thought everyone could probably hear it. She found a quiet corner backstage and sat down, trying to catch her breath. What had just happened? The performance had felt like an out-of-body experience, like she'd been watching herself from somewhere outside her own skin. But the reaction, that had been real. The talent show continued. Maya could hear the next act starting, but the sounds felt distant and muffled. She stayed backstage for the rest of the show, not ready to face anyone yet. Not ready to figure out what this all meant. When the final performance ended and Principal Rodriguez returned to announce the winners, Maya barely paid attention. Third place went to the violin soloist, second place to the dancers, and first place, Maya Chen, for her stunning original performance. Maya's head snapped up. People were clapping again, and the coordinator was gesturing for her to come back on stage. She walked out on autopilot, accepted the small trophy from Principal Rodriguez, and stood there blinking in the lights while people cheered. It all felt surreal, like it was happening to someone else. After the show ended, Maya tried to slip out through the side exit, but she was immediately surrounded. Students she'd never spoken to wanted to tell her how amazing she was, how her song had made them cry, how they'd felt every word. Teachers congratulated her. Parents she didn't know stopped to compliment her talent. A girl from her chemistry class, someone Maya had always thought of as popular and untouchable, grabbed her hand. "That song," the girl said, her eyes serious. "When you sang about fake friends and feeling invisible? I felt that. Like really felt it. Thank you for being brave enough to say it." Maya's parents finally reached her through the crowd. Her mom pulled her into a tight hug, and Maya felt herself finally starting to crack. All the fear and adrenaline and emotion of the past few weeks came pouring out in tears against her mother's shoulder. "I'm so proud of you," her mom whispered. So proud." They stayed in the auditorium until the crowd thinned out. Maya accepted congratulations from stragglers, still feeling like she was moving through a dream. As they headed toward the exit, she saw Brittany standing alone near the back doors. Their eyes met, and for a moment, neither of them moved. Then Brittany turned and walked out quickly, disappearing into the parking lot. Chelsea and Vanessa were nowhere to be seen. The weekend that followed was strange. Maya's performance had been recorded by multiple people, and by Saturday morning, videos of it were spreading across social media. Not the mocking viral moment Brittany had planned, but something completely different. People were sharing it with captions about authenticity, about standing up for yourself, about the power of honesty. Comments poured in from strangers. "This made me cry. I needed to hear this today. This girl is going places." The video jumped from school accounts to local community pages to bigger platforms. By Sunday, it had over 50,000 views. Maya's phone buzzed constantly with messages, friend requests from classmates, comments from people she'd never met, interview requests from local news stations. It was overwhelming in a completely different way than loneliness had been, but there were some messages she didn't get. Nothing from Brittany, nothing from Chelsea. Radio silence from Vanessa until Sunday night when a single text appeared. "I'm sorry. For everything. You deserved better." Maya stared at the message for a long time before typing back a simple, "Thank you." Monday morning, walking into school felt different. People called out to her in the hallways. Students she'd eaten lunch near for months suddenly wanted to sit with her. The invisibility that had wrapped around her since she'd transferred was gone, replaced by something that felt almost like fame, though on a small scale. It was nice, but also exhausting. Maya found herself missing the quiet of the music room, the simplicity of just being alone with a piano. At lunch, a group of students invited her to sit with them. Real invitation, no ulterior motive she could detect. Maya accepted, finding herself at a table with the art kids and theater people, the ones who'd always been friendly, but whom she'd been too scared to approach. They talked about music and creativity and upcoming projects. It felt comfortable in a way Brittany's attention never had. Across the cafeteria, Maya spotted Brittany sitting with Chelsea at their usual table, but the seats around them were noticeably emptier than before. Other students who usually fought for spots in their orbit had drifted to different tables. Brittany's social currency had dropped, and people were recalculating who they wanted to be associated with. Maya didn't feel triumphant about it. Mostly she felt tired. The whole situation had been exhausting, and she was ready to just move on. The months that followed brought more changes. Maya joined the school's songwriting club and found a community of musicians who actually got her. She started posting her original songs online, building a small but genuine following. Teachers encouraged her to apply to performing arts programs for college. She made real friends, the kind who showed up because they wanted to, not because they were playing some angle. Brittany mostly kept her distance. They'd pass each other in hallways sometimes, and there would be this moment of eye contact, heavy with everything unspoken, but they never talked about what had happened. The closest thing to acknowledgement came 3 months later. Maya was leaving the music room after practice when she found Brittany waiting outside. No friends with her this time, just Brittany, looking smaller somehow, less sure of herself. "Hey," Brittany said quietly. "Hey," Maya replied, not hostile but not warm either. They stood in awkward silence for a moment. Finally, Brittany spoke. "Your song that night, it was really good. Like, actually good." She paused, struggling with the words. And I'm sorry. For everything. I don't know. Threatened, I guess. You came in and you were talented and different, and instead of just being okay with that, I tried to tear you down. That was messed up. Maya studied her for a moment. The apology seemed genuine, but she also knew apologies didn't erase hurt. They didn't undo all the lonely lunches or the fear or the nights she'd cried into her pillow. Thank you for saying that, Maya said finally. I appreciate it. Could we maybe? Brittany started, but Maya shook her head gently. I don't think we're going to be friends, Maya said honestly. But I don't hate you either. I just think we're better off doing our own things. Brittany nodded, looking relieved that Maya hadn't yelled at her, hadn't tried to get revenge. That's fair. I really am sorry, though. I know, Maya said, and she meant it. They went their separate ways down the hallway, and Maya felt something release in her chest. Not forgiveness exactly, but something like letting go. That evening, Maya sat at her keyboard at home working on a new song. This one wasn't about bullying or loneliness or finding her place. It was about moving forward. About discovering that the voice you find in your darkest moments doesn't disappear when things get better. It stays with you, stronger than before. Her mom knocked on the doorframe, leaning against it with a smile. Sounds beautiful, honey. Thanks, Mom. Maya paused, looking up. Thank you for telling me about your play. About Patricia. It helped. Her mom crossed the room and kissed the top of Maya's head. You did something I couldn't do. You didn't let them take your voice. That's all you, sweetheart. After her mom left, Maya kept playing. Outside her window, the sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. In the distance, she could hear neighborhood sounds, life happening all around. But in her room, there was just the music and the feeling of her fingers on the keys and the knowledge that she'd faced the thing that terrified her most and survived. More than survived. She'd found herself in the process. The song she'd sung that night at the talent show had changed.